Today we're going to talk about entering a recipe in MyFitnessPal. So why would you want to enter a recipe when you can just use the search function to find foods? This is most applicable if you are a home cook. And by that I don't mean a chef, but you just cook a lot of your own food at home, because this is the common scenario. I'm going to use turkey chili as an example. Let's say you make a turkey chili, you cook it all, and then you're serving it out at dinner, and you're putting it in the bowls, and you think, oh, I should track this. So you take out MyFitnessPal and you enter turkey chili in the search function. You get a ton of results, and you don't know what any of them mean in terms of what are the ingredients, where did this come from, and you're also not even sure how much turkey chili that you put in the bowls, let alone the fact that some of the listings in the MyFitnessPal search function are going to be listed in grams and ounces, and not the way that we usually think of serving soup, which would be cups. So the recipe function is really good if you are a home cook, and especially if you make some foods more than once, fairly repetitively. Let's say the turkey chili is made once a month or so in a meal prep fashion. So what it does is it takes all of the ingredients in consideration at the same time, and then you put in how many servings it's going to be, and then it does the math for you. It tells me how many calories per serving, it tells me the macros, the protein, the carbs, the fat, all of it. And then the only thing that you have to do is be consistent in actually dividing the whole finished product into the right number of servings. If you say it's 4 servings, it's gotta be 4 servings, or the numbers don't work. That's why it's so important, that's why it's so helpful. So if you're a home cook and you make most of your own food and you're tracking calories and macros, the recipe function is something you don't wanna miss.
To add a recipe in MyFitnessPal, let's add a lunch. I'm going to add food, and I'm going to use the turkey chili recipe from my cookbook. So at the top right, there's a plus sign. I'm going to hit that. The special button that you want to hit to create a recipe is create a recipe. We're going to enter ingredients manually instead of downloading from the web, because I've often observed and clients have often observed it sometimes downloads incorrectly. And also, if you're going to make any modifications to the recipe, it's way easier just to add it yourself. So you always have to start with the recipe name. So this is turkey chili. In this case, this is going to serve 6 people. And then you hit the forward button. Add ingredient. First note, bottom right, you see the scan thing. You can use that to just scan the barcode on your product, and that can help make this super easy because you don't have to search for something specific. But we're going to go through the search process so that you can see how it works, because this is where a lot of people get confused. So we're going to try to be really specific. We're going to say, according to the recipe, it's 99% lean ground turkey. And because this is a recipe, we're going to put in the entire amount. So for example, you see the top option, 99% lean ground turkey, 130 calories. And then you look through and you try to see, is there a general consensus for what 4 ounces, that's 1 serving of ground turkey, is there a consensus among several of the options? And that gives you an idea if what you're looking at is accurate. So, the 99% lean Publix 1 container, it's an outlier. I'm not saying it's not right. It's just not in consensus with, we're seeing 120 to 130 calories seems to be more typical. So I'm going to pick that top one. It seems very average, but because the recipe calls for 2 pounds, and this is only listing 4 ounces, that means we need to do not 4 servings, but actually 8 servings of this. So we're going to toggle to 8, hit the check mark, because we're counting the whole 32 ounces that we're putting into the recipe. And then it also calls for 1 white onion. So I'm just going to search for an onion. And again, we're looking for consensus. So, 1 ounce, that's not very helpful. Like, we don't know what 1 ounce of an onion is most of the time. I'm seeing like 1 whole onion is 55, 1 cup of a chopped onion is 64. So we're going to say it's like somewhere between 55 and 65 calories. So I'm going to pick, the second option, the white onion, 1 cup chopped for 64 calories. And we're putting that whole onion in. Okay, the next thing is a 15-ounce can of kidney beans. So I'm going to type in can kidney beans. And you're going to see that, you have a lot of different options. Again, we're looking for that consensus. It seems like a half cup is 110 calories at the top. A half cup is 130 calories toward the bottom, 120 calories. We're looking for that consistent serving size. It's saying about a half cup. So, it's somewhere between 110 and 130 calories per half cup. I'm going to pick that top option, but we don't want a half cup. We want the whole can. So I'm going to click serving size, and there's an option to pick the whole container. So I'm going to pick one container, which is 1 4/5 of a cup. And I'm going to hit the check mark. So now we have a whole can of kidney beans in there, just like the recipe. The next thing we need to add is a whole 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. So I'm going to look up crushed tomatoes. And the reason I'm walking you through literally every ingredient is because I want to show you the process of making the right choice from the selection it's giving you. So let's see, Hunt's crushed tomatoes, a half cup is 45 calories. Crushed tomatoes Cento, quarter cup is 35 calories. So it's somewhere in there. So let's go with the Cento because that's often the brand that I use or something similar. But remember, again, this is not a quarter cup. We actually want the whole container. So I'm going to click on the 1/4 cup, and I'm going to go with one container, which is 3 3/10 cup each. That's the 28-ounce container. And then I'm going to hit the check mark. And then the last ingredient in the recipe is chili seasoning and water. So we're not going to add those because they're calorie free. They're just for flavor. So you can already see before I hit the forward arrow at the bottom, we're already getting a preview that 6 servings, it's 324 calories per serving. And that's what's so great about this function is that you can kind of devise a recipe in here if you're cooking from home and see as you go, how many calories is it per serving? So I'm pleased with that. I'm going to hit the forward arrow and I see even more information here. It's about 45 grams of protein, about 30 grams of carbs, and about 3 grams of fat. So that means that at 324 calories, I have some room to add some cheese, to add, whatever I want basically to bring that fat index up higher without changing a lot about either the carbohydrates or the protein. It's going to make it a more balanced dish, and I have the room in the in the calorie budget to make that happen. So I'm going to hit save. And now that recipe, MyFitnessPal knows it. So I'm going to add food for lunch, but instead of just searching for a food, I'm just going to toggle over to recipes, and there's that turkey chili. So I'm going to select that, I'm going to check mark it. Now there's the turkey chili. And that's the base of the dish. So if I wanted to add now, let's say a reduced fat sharp yellow cheddar cheese, which is in there because I use it often, I'm going to put a quarter cup of that in. And then I'm also, let's say, brown rice, if you wanted to add more carbohydrates. So, a quarter cup of brown rice dry is 160 calories. I'm going to add that in. So now you've got a 574 calorie meal, but the base of it is the recipe. And that's just the turkey chili itself. And then you can add or remove these other components.